Have you ever felt overwhelmed by your emotions, like anger that erupts out of nowhere, or a wave of sadness that just won't go away? What if I told you these feelings aren't your enemies, but powerful signals trying to guide you? In today's video, we're diving deep into the world of emotions, based on insights from the book La Force des Émotions, Amour, Colère, Joie. This isn't just another self-help theory. It's a fresh perspective on how mastering your emotional world can transform your life. We'll explore the 7 core emotions that shape your decisions, your relationships, and your inner peace. Plus, practical ways to understand and take control of them. Whether you often feel overwhelmed or just want to become more emotionally resilient, this video is your roadmap. Let's get started and unlock the force of emotions that could change everything. There are emotions that seem so familiar, yet silently influence every choice you make. The anger that flares up when you feel hurt. The quiet envy that creeps in when someone else succeeds. The invisible fear that holds you back from seizing opportunities. Or the quiet sadness that visits you when no one's watching. But do you truly understand these emotions? In this video, we'll gently explore 7 core emotions: anger, envy, fear, sadness, joy, shame, and jealousy. Not just to name them, but to listen to them, understand them, and most importantly, learn to take control. Because emotions aren't meant to be hidden. They're a compass, guiding you toward a life of clarity, peace, and fulfillment. First feeling, anger, the fire that needs understanding. Anger is one of the most intense emotions we can feel. It rises quickly, burns hot, and if left unchecked, can consume us. But what if anger isn't here to destroy, but to protect? Behind every outburst is usually a deeper wound, something that felt unfair, threatening, or painful. Anger is often the body's alarm system, signaling something's not right. The problem isn't the anger itself, it's what we do with it. Most of us are taught to either suppress it or explode with it, but neither option leads to healing. Suppressed anger turns inward, becoming bitterness or self-blame. Explosive anger damages relationships and leaves us feeling ashamed afterward. So, how do we handle anger in a healthier way? First, pause. When you feel the heat rising, take a breath. Literally. Try the 4-7-8 method. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, and exhale slowly for 8. This simple act can shift your body from reaction to reflection. Then ask yourself, what am I really angry about? Is it the situation in front of you or something deeper, older, that this moment triggered? Often, anger masks more vulnerable emotions, like hurt, fear, or even disappointment. By getting curious instead of judgmental about our anger, we open a doorway to healing. Another powerful tool? Writing. Grab a notebook and write down what you're feeling without censoring. Let it flow. You might be surprised at what shows up. Writing creates distance between you and the emotion, helping you see it more clearly. Anger, when understood, can become a force for positive change. It can tell us where our boundaries have been crossed. It can motivate us to speak up, to take action, to protect what matters. But it needs to be channeled, not unleashed. Here's a small practice you can try. The next time you feel angry, instead of reacting outwardly, try whispering inwardly. Thank you for showing up. What are you trying to tell me? This simple shift turns anger from an enemy into a messenger. And remember, you are not your anger. You are the space that holds it, observes it, and can choose what to do next. Envy, the double-lit envy. It's the emotion we rarely admit to. It creeps in silently when someone gets the job we wanted, achieves the success we dream of, or seems to live a life we secretly long for. But envy isn't just about them. It's about us. At its core, envy is a mirror. It reflects not what we hate about others, but what we deeply desire for ourselves. And that makes envy one of the most revealing emotions we can experience. The key is not to judge it, but to listen. When you feel envy, pause. Instead of pushing it away or pretending it's not there, try asking, what part of me wants this too? You might discover hidden dreams you've buried, goals you've delayed, or parts of yourself you haven't fully owned yet. Envy shows us our longing, but if we're not careful, it can also distort our self-worth. That's the double edge. On one side, envy can push us toward growth if we use it as inspiration. On the other, it can pull us into comparison, making us feel small, behind, or not enough. That's why self-awareness is everything. One gentle practice. When you notice envy arising, instead of saying, why do they have that and I don't? Try this shift. What does their success awaken in me? Then write down 3 of your own strengths. Not in comparison to anyone, just things you truly value in yourself. This helps bring the focus back to you, your path, your timing, your growth. Another powerful shift? Celebrate. Yes, celebrate what triggers your envy. This doesn't mean faking positivity. It means recognizing that if someone else has achieved something, it's proof that it's possible. And if it's possible for them, it's possible for you. Envy, when acknowledged and redirected, becomes a compass. It points to where you want to go and who you're becoming, but only if you're willing to look in the mirror with kindness. So the next time you catch yourself scrolling through someone's highlight reel and feeling that twinge in your chest, pause, breathe, then whisper to yourself, this feeling is a message. What is it showing me about what I truly want? And in that moment, you'll shift from envy to clarity. In the next part, we'll face another emotion that holds many of us back silently. Fear. Not the loud kind, but the quiet, invisible one that keeps us from becoming who we truly are. Feeling thy? Fear, the silent gatekeeper. Fear. Unlike anger or envy, fear doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. A quiet hesitation before you speak. A lump in your throat before you take a leap. A voice in your head that says, what if I'm not ready? Fear has a purpose. It's wired into our biology to protect, to preserve, to keep us safe. Without fear, we'd walk into danger without blinking. But in today's world, fear often shows up not to protect us from lions or cliffs, but from failure, rejection, or the unknown. The trouble is, those are the very things we need to face in order to grow. So fear becomes a gatekeeper. It stands at the edge of everything new and meaningful in your life and quietly asks, are you sure you're ready? Here's the truth. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to learn to walk with fear. Start small. Think of something you've been putting off because of fear. Maybe it's speaking your truth, starting a project, or reaching out to someone. Instead of trying to eliminate the fear, ask, can I take one small step with it? Fear shrinks when we take action, even tiny ones. And when the fear feels overwhelming, prepare. Fear often comes from feeling unprepared or out of control. If you're afraid of public speaking, practice in front of a mirror. If you're scared of failing, break the task into smaller pieces. Preparation doesn't kill fear, but it weakens its grip. Another helpful practice: write down your fear. Name it. Then ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? Most of the time, the imagined consequences are far more terrifying than the real ones. Then ask, what's the best that could happen? That shift in focus, from loss to possibility, can open a door. And finally, remind yourself, fear often means you're on the edge of something important. No one feels fear in the middle of the comfort zone. You feel it at the border, where change begins. So instead of fighting fear, honor it. Thank it for trying to keep you safe. Then let it know, I hear you, but I'm choosing growth. Fear may never fully leave, but it doesn't have to lead. You do. In the next part, we'll explore a softer, quieter emotion, sadness, often misunderstood but deeply human, and sometimes exactly what the heart needs. Fourth feeling, sadness, the weight that heals. Sadness. It doesn't rush in like anger or stir us like fear. It settles, slowly, gently, like a soft rain that soaks into everything. It's the emotion we often try to avoid, but one that holds a deep, quiet power. Sadness usually arrives when something meaningful is lost, a relationship, a dream, a part of ourselves, and in that loss, it invites us to feel, to pause, to grieve. Many people fear sadness because they mistake it for weakness. But sadness is not weakness. It's proof that something mattered, that your heart was open, that you cared deeply. And that's a beautiful thing. When we try to escape sadness by distracting ourselves, numbing out, or pretending to be fine, we push the pain deeper. But unprocessed sadness doesn't disappear. It lingers. It waits. Sometimes it shows up later as anxiety, exhaustion, or emotional numbness. So instead of running from it, try this. Make space for your sadness. Let yourself feel it. Cry if you need to. There's something profoundly healing about tears. They don't just express sadness, they help release it. Another gentle step, talk to someone you trust. You don't need advice. You just need a safe space to say, "This hurts." Naming the sadness out loud often lessens its weight. Then, when you're ready, ask yourself, what is this sadness trying to show me? Sometimes it's pointing to what still needs healing. Other times, it's reminding you of what you truly value. Sadness can guide us back to what matters most. And don't rush the process. Healing isn't linear. There's no timeline for when the sadness should pass. Be patient with yourself. You are not broken. You are just human. One small but powerful practice. Write a letter, not to a person, but to your sadness itself. Let it know you're listening, that you're not afraid of it, that you're willing to feel even if it's hard. Because when we allow sadness to move through us, something magical happens. It softens us, grounds us. It makes room for peace, for connection, for joy to return. Sadness doesn't stay forever. It passes like all emotions do. But while it's here, it can be a quiet companion, a reminder of your depth, your sensitivity, your capacity to love and lose and live fully. In the next part, we'll explore joy, not just as a fleeting emotion, but as a practice, as a way of seeing, as something we can choose even after sadness. Fifth emotion, joy, the light we can cultivate. Joy. It's the emotion we all long for. The burst of laughter with a friend, the quiet peace of a morning coffee, the warmth in your chest when you feel truly alive. But here's a gentle truth. Joy isn't just something that happens to us. It's something we can cultivate. Many people wait for joy, thinking it only comes with big achievements or perfect moments. But joy doesn't live only in celebrations. It lives in the everyday, in the ordinary, in the moments we often overlook. The first step to more joy? Presence. Joy can't be felt in the past or the future. It lives in the now. So the more present you are, the more room you give for joy to arise. Try this. Once a day, pause and notice something small that brings you delight. A bird singing, a warm breeze the way sunlight hits your window. Name it, breathe it in, let yourself feel it fully. The second step, gratitude. Gratitude is like sunlight for joy. It helps it grow. Each evening, write down 3 things you're grateful for. Not grand things, just real things. A kind word, a meal you enjoyed, the fact that you made it through a hard day. The more you notice what's good, the more joy begins to show itself. And here's something powerful. Giving creates joy. When you offer kindness, when you make someone else smile, you feel lighter too. Joy expands when it's shared. It becomes a thread that connects us to one another and to something larger than ourselves. But remember, joy doesn't mean ignoring pain. In fact, the people who know deep joy are often those who've walked through sorrow. Because joy isn't about perfection. It's about presence, connection, meaning. And sometimes, it's a choice. Even on difficult days, we can choose to find one moment of light, one reason to smile, one breath of peace. That small choice doesn't erase the hard things, but it reminds us that joy can exist alongside them. So here's a gentle practice. Each morning, ask yourself, where can I let joy in today? Not in a forced way, but as an invitation. You might be surprised by what responds, because joy isn't just something we feel, it's something we welcome, something we practice. In the next part, we'll talk about an emotion we often hide in silence, shame. But once we bring it to light, it begins to lose its power. Sixth emotion, shame, the silent shadow. Shame. It's not loud like anger or sharp like fear. It doesn't crash in. It settles quietly like a shadow you barely notice until it colors everything. Shame whispers, "You're not enough. You're broken." If they knew the real you, they'd walk away. It's one of the most painful emotions we carry because unlike guilt, which says, "I did something wrong," shame says, "I am wrong." And that belief can shape how we see ourselves for years, even decades. But here's something tender and true. Shame only grows in silence. It feeds on secrecy. The less we speak of it, the more power it holds. That's why healing begins the moment we bring shame into the light. The first step, name it. Instead of pushing it down, try saying to yourself, "I'm feeling shame because I believe I'm not good enough." Or, "I'm ashamed of a part of my story." Naming it doesn't make it worse, it makes it real. And real things can be healed. Next, talk to someone safe. Shame cannot survive empathy. When someone listens to you, not to fix you, but simply to witness your truth, that's when shame starts to loosen its grip. If you don't have someone to talk to yet, write. Put it on paper. Let it come out. Your story deserves a place outside your mind. Another way to soften shame is to challenge the inner critic. That voice that says, "You should be better. You're a failure. You're not lovable." Pause and ask, whose voice is this, really? Often the roots of shame come from things we were told or made to feel long ago. And now those voices echo in our heads as if they're truth. But they're not. You are not your worst moment. You are not defined by your scars. You are a whole, complex, deeply human being, growing, learning, becoming. A gentle practice. When shame shows up, place your hand over your heart and say to yourself, "I may feel ashamed right now, but I am worthy of love and compassion." Speak to yourself the way you would to someone you love, because that's how healing begins. Shame thrives in the dark. But the moment we meet it with tenderness, with honesty, with courage, it begins to dissolve, slowly, gently, quietly. And in its place, something else begins to grow, self-acceptance. In the final part, we'll explore a feeling that often hides beneath love. Jealousy. Not just in romance, but in all the places we fear being replaced or forgotten. Seventh emotion, jealousy. The fear of being replaced. Jealousy. It's a quiet, insidious feeling that creeps in when we least expect it. It often arises in our relationships, our friendships, or even when we compare ourselves to others. But at its core, jealousy isn't about the other person. It's about us. It's about our deep-seated fear of being replaced, forgotten, or left behind. When you feel jealousy, ask yourself, what is this emotion really telling me? At first glance, it might seem like it's all about them. The person who has something you want, the one who seems to be more loved, more successful, or more admired. But jealousy is often a mirror to something deeper inside us, a fear of our own inadequacies. The truth is, jealousy often arises when we feel insecure in our worth. We worry that if someone else is chosen, or loved, or appreciated, there won't be enough love or attention left for us. But the scarcity mindset that jealousy creates only traps us in a cycle of fear and comparison. So how can we free ourselves from it? The first step is to acknowledge it. When jealousy arises, pause. Don't dismiss it or deny it. Instead, say to yourself, "I feel jealous because I'm afraid of losing something important." This simple acknowledgement can start to break the cycle of fear and open the door to understanding. Next, shift your focus. Jealousy often makes us obsess over what someone else has, but the key is to bring the focus back to you. Ask, what makes me unique? What do you love about yourself? What are your strengths? Jealousy can cloud our vision of our own worth, so it's essential to remind ourselves of the value we already bring to the table. Another helpful practice is to celebrate the other person's success. This might seem counterintuitive, but in celebrating others, we take away jealousy's power. When we can genuinely applaud someone else's achievements, we shift from a mindset of scarcity to one of abundance. There's enough success, love, and opportunity for everyone. And here's something powerful. Build trust in your relationships. Jealousy often comes from a fear of losing someone, but trust is the antidote. When you trust yourself and those around you, jealousy loses its grip. Open, honest communication can dissolve the insecurities that feed jealousy. So if you're feeling threatened, talk it through. Ask questions, express your feelings, and create an atmosphere of safety in your relationships. Finally, remember this: you are irreplaceable. Just because someone else is valued or loved doesn't mean your value diminishes. There is no one else quite like you. Your voice, your perspective, your essence is completely unique. In a world that often encourages comparison, it's vital to remember that you are enough, just as you are. Jealousy is a natural emotion, but it doesn't have to control us. By understanding its roots, challenging our fears, and focusing on our own worth, we can transform jealousy into a force for self-discovery and growth. And with that, we come to the end of our journey through the 7 core emotions. Through anger, envy, fear, sadness, joy, shame, and jealousy, we've explored the vast landscape of our inner world. Remember, emotions are not enemies, they are guides. If we listen to them, understand them, and learn from them, they can lead us to deeper self-awareness, growth, and peace. Thank you for walking this path with me. The journey of mastering your emotions doesn't end here. It's a lifelong practice, but every step you take is a step toward a more empowered, authentic you. Your conclusion wraps up the emotional journey with clarity and warmth. Here's a polished version that keeps your tone, flow, and intent while slightly enhancing rhythm and cohesion, especially for video delivery. Conclusion: mastering your emotions, mastering your life. Emotions shape our experiences, influence our choices, and define our relationships. But remember, you are not at their mercy. When you understand and harness them, they become a powerful tool for growth, resilience, and self-discovery. Let's recap the 7 core emotions and how to master them. Anger. Don't let it explode or fester. Identify its root and channel it into action and clarity. Jealousy. Instead of comparison, use it as motivation. Learn from others and return to your own strengths. Fear. Acknowledge it, prepare wisely, and move forward even when the path is unclear. Sadness. Feel it fully. Express it, honor it, and let it guide you to what truly matters. Nurture it through gratitude, presence, and connection. Let it expand your life. Shame. Meet it with compassion. Name it, speak it, and reclaim your worth. Envy. Use it to check your desires. Strengthen trust, respect boundaries, and come home to self-love. Your emotions don't define you, you define them. By recognizing, accepting, and mastering your emotional life, you unlock your true power and live with intention. If this resonated with you, like, share, and subscribe for more insights. Your time and attention mean the world to me, and I hope this video gave you a new way of understanding your emotions. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It truly supports the channel and helps me bring meaningful content your way. And trust me, I've got so many powerful topics coming up, you won't want to miss them. So hit that notification bell to stay in the loop. Thanks again for being part of this journey. I'll see you in the next video.